activity of free men, which to me is a very impressive definition. Politics is the activity of free men. Sabi ko, why men? Kaya the women are excluded. Well, yes, definitely in Aristotelian politics, in Greek politics, in the Greek city-state, unfortunately, the citizens that were regarded as citizens and therefore entitled to participate in the free activity that was called politics were only the free men. It excluded women, insofar as women were part of the household. No? It excluded children and minors. It excluded servants and slaves and barbarians. Yun lahat hindi kasama sa politika. Ang kahalo lamang sa politika, ang pwede lamang lumahok sa politika, ay yung, in fact, wage workers were not even regarded as citizens, as entitled to political participation. It was only those people who did not have to depend on anyone, who did not have to work for a living, who were entitled to participate in politics. And essentially, participation in politics meant participation in the shaping of major decisions in the life of the Greek city-state. You know? And oftentimes this was entrusted to the members of the council by the assembly, because the Greeks would rather that they did not participate in politics. Like many of us today, we would not be bothered by politics. Why? Because there are more important things in life than politics. If you ask me, teaching is more important than politics. You know? I would even say at times when I go out on Sundays on my motorcycle, that motorcycling is more important than politics. You know? Perhaps bird watching is more important than politics. You know? Indeed, during the Greek period, it was Socrates who maintained that philosophy was superior to politics, in fact. You know? And in fact, it was necessary for some people, only a few people, to engage in politics so that the others would have the luxury of doing non-political things. No? Like what? Like thinking, for instance. No? Like reflecting about the nature and the meaning of life. That is the reason why Socrates never left the agora, which was the marketplace. No? I mean, he did not enter the assembly of citizens to debate with the other citizens, because he always thought that philosophy was superior to politics. I do believe with Socrates there. I don't know why I'm being invited to enter politics. No? I mean, academe is far superior to politics. No? Provides you the luxury of free thinking. No? And so politics was an unnecessary evil. A necessary evil, rather, during that period. But from the Greek period to the present, so much has happened to politics. In the first instance, political rights, the rights of citizenship, were no longer confined to free men, included women in most. Well, Amar said earlier that the right of suffrage for women in our country took place only around 1935. No? The American right of suffrage for women is not so old either. It's quite recent. I think it's in the early 1800s only. You know? And in fact, what is surprising to me when I was reading on this is that when there was a huge campaign in the United States, the suffragettes, led by the suffragettes, many women were against the whole idea of voting. They did not think that it was an obligation or an activity that they should participate in. You know? But today, I think many of us believe that we should participate in politics, although many people still don't understand why. Now, I am here because I'm supposed to convince you that there is a point to being political. Perhaps one half of my heart says, I'm not really very convinced about it. I think that I believe with Socrates that philosophy is superior to politics. You know? But unfortunately, other people will have to make decisions for us then, because that's the whole idea of politics. You know? Now, if only we could trust the people who make decisions in our name, then perhaps many of us could retire into the contemplative life, you know, and pursue a life of ideas, as we often do in this republic called Diliman. I have a very simple definition for politics. Politics, to my mind, is the mechanism by which a society produces collectively binding decisions. In other words, certain decisions that bind everyone have to be made in a society because a society is the organization of a collectivity. Now, those decisions cannot be possibly made by everyone. They have to be made by people who are chosen specifically to make those decisions. And this is part of politics. Now, what kind of decisions might those be? Well, many types of decisions. Fundamentally, the right to declare war, for instance. I mean, a few people can make decisions in our name, like let us say, let's wage war against Malaysia or against Indonesia. Can you imagine Mrs. Arroyo making that decision for us? I wouldn't think that, no? Or any of the senators, many of them probably have not read the Constitution, making decisions in our name. I mean, it's just intolerable to think that that might be the case. But it happens. The right to impose taxes is another collectively binding decision. The right to determine, for example, whether a prisoner convicted of rape should be transferred to Spain, where he can serve his sentence in relative ease compared to Philippine prisons. These are all decisions of the state that are made in our name. But principally the right of taxation. And many of us think that we don't pay taxes just because we don't file income taxes anymore, a large number of us, except maybe us, fixed income earners in the university. We have no choice. But in fact, in everyday life, whenever you ride a jeepney or you ride a bus or you buy a piece of candy, you're paying taxes. No? And so in that sense, you are bound by certain decisions made by individuals who probably, if you look hard at their personal record and competence, you would not trust them to make decisions in your name. No? But that is what happens when we don't take our political rights seriously. Now, in a democracy, the electoral process is probably one of the most important processes by which we choose the men and women who will be entrusted with the power to make decisions in our name. Napaka-importante niyan. But unfortunately, along the way, talagang parang hindi umuubra ang eleksyon bilang mekanismo ng mabuting pagpili ng mga taong dapat magpasya para sa atin. No? Ang kadalasan, nabibili ang mga boto, na mamamanipula ang mga boto, karamihan sa ating mga